In this video, I'm going to share with you a super fun, fast technique that you can create a fantastic looking art journal page in under an hour. It was a little difficult for me to time this page because in true me style, I spilt half my bottle of brand new Liquitex ink. I've done it before, and let's be honest, I'm probably going to do it again. So, if this is of any interest, please be sure to stick around and watch how I created this rather visually striking page. The focal image is from my book, Fascinating Faces. For anyone who's new here, I've got 3 books out on Amazon, and this is one of them. I love this book. There's some gorgeous imagery. It's a real mix. There's no real theme apart from fascinating faces. So they're all gorgeous faces, men and women, different sort of theme. So be sure to check them out. I'll make sure I link them in the description box below. The page features a really quick resist technique. You don't need a lot of supplies. And I will be sure to list other alternatives. You don't need the brands that I'm using. In this video, I do use Liquitex ink because it's my favorite. I love the viscosity, the pigments. I think that they are fantastic. They go a long way if you don't spill them on your desk. Some embossing powder, stamp, and then I also use some gesso and some paint. But they're you don't have to use those, but I just wanted to go over them to sort of break up that background a little bit. It really is quite a simple technique and then a simple page, and I think it would be perfect for anybody who's new to mixed media or somebody who's running a little bit low on time or patience or just wants to break a little bit of creative block. So if this is of any interest, stick around. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and leave me a comment and let me know what you think down below. I'm Dani from The Glittered Rose. I'm a mixed media artist from Australia and I love creating in my art journal and also different 3D pieces. I'm glad you made it to my channel. I have been flipping through this book for a little bit too long, trying to decide which image to use. Sometimes I feel like that's the hardest choice to make. There are some really lovely images in this book. And I think I'll go with my original plan and I'll go with this girl in the top left. So I'm just going to rip the page out and then cut her out and I'll be back. I have this lovely background stamp from All and Create and I haven't used it yet. And there's some fantastic elements to this. There's some crosses, some buttons, some bubbles. It's just a really interesting, highly textural stamp, and I don't think it would be overdone if I were to stamp this twice, and it would be such a nice, quick, easy um, background. So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm stamping it twice in an embossing ink onto a watercolor paper. I've just popped this page out of my art journal. If you can't take a page out of your art journal, just do it in your art journal. And I've just popped it into a Misty stamp platform, but you don't need to do it. I just find it nice and easy. So I'm just going to do this on the other side. I like to stamp it twice or even 3 times because watercolor paper is so absorbent, it would just soak up that embossing ink. So just to make sure that the embossing powder will stick really well to the paper, I like to do it twice or 3 times. All right, I'm going to stamp this and then we'll be back. I've grabbed out my Wow super fine embossing powder and I'm just sprinkling this on. I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% sure if this is going to stick because I can't see any stamping on this paper whatsoever. So I'm holding my breath here and hoping that it works. So Oh, look at that. It's all stuck onto the paper. There you go. I'm going to get rid of this powder, and I'll be back. So I am now melting the embossing powder. For those who have never really worked with embossing powder, just make sure you heat your heat gun first. And then when you're working on watercolor paper, make sure you keep your heat tool moving as much as possible, but slow enough to still melt that embossing powder. Watercolor paper burns really easily, and it's already starting to burn on the edges, but that doesn't matter. I'll cover it up with the ink. So I'm going to melt this. If I keep all this on camera, it will be like watching paint dry. Even worse than that because you can't see it melt on camera. So I'll be back when this is all done, and we'll get on to the next step. Okay, so my embossing powder has melted, and so for this resist technique, um, I am deliberately using permanent inks. So I don't want to use something like a Tim Holtz ink. I want a permanent ink. So I love the Liquitex inks. I know that there are cheaper alternatives and you can play around with those. I have tried the Kmart inks, which I don't personally love, but you can try them. I just love Liquitex inks because you're able to build on top of them and build layers, which is the look that I really love. And so as the color goes down, you can really see the texture and the image. Oops, I've just made a massive mess with this ink. There goes half my bottle of ink. I'll be back. Okay, so as I was cleaning up the ink, this image has basically dried. So we'll start again. Now I'm popping on a lighter color and going in with some layers. So as I was saying, the Liquitex works really well because you can build up the layers. I found that the cheaper Kmart inks just weren't pigmenty enough to do what I love to do with the Liquitex inks. So I just think that there's a property in these Liquitex inks that allow you to build up lots of colors, lots of layers, and as they're permanent, you're able to build up those layers, add more water, and really get a depth um, and almost a grunge about them because you can see all the different layers and textures through them. You'll see what I mean as I'm building these layers up and using water as a bit of a blending tool. So I can blend the layers with some water, but the dry layer underneath will stay dry and solid. And this is what I love about Liquitex, something that you can't do with the acrylic sprays from Ranger. This is why I really believe in playing with what you've got and sort of learning the different mediums. So while I do love the Tim Holtz sprays and the Lavinia sprays and that sort of thing, you really can get a different look from the Liquitex. I love this. I'm wondering if I should stop now or if I should keep going. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to keep going and showing you the sort of layers that you can build. Drop a little bit more dark color in. I'll blend it through with a little bit of movement, bit of a tippy tap. I love how the resist of the stamping really comes through when you pop darker colours on. And that's what I think where the All and Create stamps really shine is just all the texture and interest that they get into their stamps. I think they're really beautiful. Look how easy this background was. It almost feels too easy. Look how gorgeous it is. I just love the colours and the interest we've gotten into it already. I'm going to blow dry this flat, so I'm not going to pick it up to dry it because I want to keep the pools of colour where they are. I really want that separation of colour. I want the dark colours to be where they are. So I'm going to keep it flat to dry it off. And when it's dry, I'll be back. It's all nice and dry. I realise that the background doesn't quite match the image, but doesn't matter. I didn't have the right blue, but I still think it's quite nice. I want to incorporate some red just to sort of tie it all in. So I'm going to grab some red paint. I'm just using some liquid acrylic paint, but it doesn't matter what you use, just some red or, whatever it matches your focal image. You don't even need to use paint if you don't want to, just whatever you think it needs. I just thought try to add some dots just to blend it in. She's got quite a bit of red on her, so I thought that might be nice. Now I've grabbed some unbleached titanium and I'm just trying to blend in that red because I thought the red looked a little stark. So I'm trying to blend the red into the background. I think that's looking pretty good. Look at the state of my poor fingers. That's how you know I've been having fun. I like it. Sort of gives a bit more of a sort of misty, soft sort of a focused look as well. Softens up that background a bit. I enjoy painting with my fingers. Oops. I think I need to go back to bed today. Today's not my day. It's good. I was going to blend on the image anyway, so that just reminds me. I think blending onto the image is good because sometimes with these squared off images, they can look a little, framey. So it just blends everything together a bit more. Okay, so now I'm going to go around the edge with a dark blue chalk just to frame it and see if I think that it's finished. Or if I think that it needs something else because I'm sitting on the fence at the moment. I'm not sure. I'm liking that. It's all looking a little bit heavy and a little bit busy. So I want to brighten everything up, maybe blend everything a little bit more too. I think those color bits that I introduced look a little bit like they were just added as an afterthought. I think by coming in with a little bit of gesso um, and adding some white space, it'll blend everything together and make it look more cohesive. So I'm adding some white space by going in with some gesso and blending everything together, and hopefully everything will just sort of sit back a little bit and make it all look a little bit more natural and cohesive. I don't want to put a lot of gesso in because I really do like the background. I think it looks really cool. I don't have a lot of space to do it either because the image is quite large. Um, but I just want to sort of blend those colors in. I think that actually has worked. I'm going to dry it off, stick the focal image down and a sentimental saying, and we'll have a close look together. Before this image goes down and it's all dried, I really do like the look of it as a piece. I think it really does look more cohesive. I think adding that white gesso really has helped make it come together and look more cohesive. So I think it really has worked. So that's a really good trick for any mixed media newbies, that you can use gesso to add cohesion to a piece. I'm super happy with this page. It goes to show that if you don't spill ink, you can create a page that's textural and interesting with lots of layers in well under an hour. Um, just make sure that you've got an image close to hand that you can use along with your supplies, with the lids put on after you use them. I know I'm all about cheap supplies, but I really would encourage you to look at Liquitex inks because I think that they're the best. Get some embossing powder. It doesn't have to be wow. Just, I think clear gloss for the resist technique is fantastic. Grab some stamps that you can use for a background. I personally think you can't go past All and Create because they put a lot of texture and interest into their background stamps. And have a play. You don't need to have a room full of supplies to create something like this, and you have a lot of fun. If you want to check out my book, please do so. They lend themselves to quick, easy art journaling because there's no fussy cutting, which I love. um, there's a link in the description box. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to leave me a comment, hit the like button, and subscribe if you're not a subscriber. As always, thanks so much for taking the time to watch my videos. I appreciate each and every one of you. Till next time, bye for now.